Welcome to our podcast today. Thank you for joining our channel. And if you have any questions, let us know. This podcast is not about me. It is about you and your journey to a successful career. We're going to be talking about any kind of workplace issues, how to further your career, how to have a happier career. So thank you for joining us today. And we have a guest, and she is going to be interviewing me. And why don't you tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself?
I am Tori Ward. I'm a millennial, 25. Currently, I'm employed as a paralegal, but I am looking for a better career, if that makes sense.
There are a lot of millennials who are looking for a better career, and our podcast is emphasizing millennials. And I have always been a supporter of the millennials, and I'm a baby boomer. And when I had my radio shows, I was always saying on radio, I've got a record of this, how much potential the millennials have. So I'm glad you're here to interview me today. Yeah. So what is your first question?
My first question is, I want to know, when you're changing careers, how do you know what's best, if you should go more towards getting an advanced degree, like a master's degree, into something that you want to go into if you already have a bachelor's degree, or if you should just try and wing it and just network and see if you can get into a career that you might not necessarily have experience because you're doing a career change?
Tori, thank you for asking this question, because a lot of people have this concern. First of all, you need to be very career focused on what you want to do next. So do you know what you want to do?
Yes.
And tell me what that is.
It might be a little broad. It's more general than like a bachelor's, or it's more focused than a bachelor's degree, but I want to do analyzing data, like statistics from surveys more, but in like a political sense. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I believe your undergraduate degree is in political science.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is a good fit.
Yes.
So we've gotten the challenge that you are career focused.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but I want to challenge you on something
Okay.
else. Some people will go to school because they like school, they enjoy
Yep.
school, and they made good grades, and they avoid looking for a job because looking for work is harder than working.
Yes.
And that's a lot of people want to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of degree do you think you want to get to better prepare you for analytical work in a political setting?
I like school. I am one of those people that do not mind going to school, mostly online. Like, I'm an online person, but I looked at some master's degree because I wouldn't go back and get a second bachelor's degree.
Right.
I think it was like analyzing data or data analytics. I think that was a master's degree, which is it's still general. It's not as focused. I'm pretty sure if I looked at other degrees, I'm just trying to weigh the options if that would be good, or if I should just try and network and go for it without having the kind of schooling behind it.
I'm going to recommend that you do network interviewing.
Okay.
There are several type interviews.
Mm-hmm.
One is networking to find out where the jobs are.
Okay.
And then there is the actual job interview. You're interviewing for a job.
Yeah.
The next one is informational gathering interviews.
Okay.
And I tell people, if you want to be a bricklayer, go talk to 4 or 5 bricklayers because they'll tell you how to be one, and I can't tell you that. So I would encourage you to go interview several people who are doing the type of work that you want to do, not 1 or 2, but 3 or 4. And you can ask on a job interview, you don't come in and say, well, how much is this job paying? But on an informational gathering interview, you can ask, what is the earning potential? What is the career path? What are the qualifications? Do you think I need a master's degree in analytical whatever? Because I do have an undergraduate in political science.
Okay.
And I want to be in the political field. I would get some information from them do I need to do that before I start trying to enter that profession, or should I try to enter that profession maybe at a little bit lower position and then get a master's in that area? The important thing is knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And you need to go get the knowledge. What are the qualifications that you need to be successful in that career? What I'm betting, and I don't know about your career that you're wanting to go into, but you're well positioned and well suited because you have an undergraduate in political science.
Yeah.
And that makes you qualified in a political setting.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I'm just more trying to... It's a different world when you try and go out there now, because not everyone is willing to speak with younger people, because sometimes they don't take you seriously. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So the challenge I might run into is if I call companies or try to set up interviews or informational interviews with people, that they might not take me seriously and give me all the information I might need.
Okay, now you're getting into packaging yourself for the job search.
Yeah.
And at Mulling Corporation, we do career transition training, and we teach people how to conduct a career search, and it's a science today.
Okay.
But you have got to package yourself as very experienced. You've got to know how to sell yourself, and the first thing you need to come up with is an elevator speech, and that's a one-sentence line that you can tell what you want to do in your next career. And I'll be glad to help you with that today if you'd like. And then you say it out loud 20 times. It's just got to roll off the tip of your tongue, and you've got to be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So you are a young person, but you can have 10 years experience in 1 year or 1 year experience in 10 years, and you're bright, you're smart, you're well educated. Where do you think your liability is in packaging yourself that you don't have the qualifications for the career that you want to pursue? What is your biggest liability? And I have a saying, a liability doesn't know, a fool doesn't know her liabilities. So let's talk a little bit about your liabilities that you perceive, and then we'll play with packaging you.
Do you mean like... what I don't feel experienced in if I were to go into that career?
Yes. Where you feel the least confident.
That I don't know the process. I may come across as, because I want to do analyzing data for political surveys, I want to do one specific job, and this is where I run into with my career that I chose and I'm in now. When I was in school and I picked this career and I love it, I love learning it, I love doing it, it just is missing something. So I want to make sure that I know that, the process, so I know where I want to fit into that. So I know what job to go into. So
you won't make a career mistake of changing careers, a very different career.
Yeah.
Well, and that is a part of the informational gathering interview. A good question asked, would you please explain to me what process is usually required of a data analyst?
Okay.
And you, as a paralegal now, you do a lot of analysts. You have to search out lawsuits and cases and decisions for the attorneys. And I happen to know that you're very good at that. And you're very smart at that, and I compliment that. So now we're talking about taking the skill sets that you have in one profession and making them applicable to another career. And probably you're going to need a functional resume.
Yes.
There's a chronological resume and a functional resume. A chronological is you list all of the jobs in chronological order, the titles, the companies, and all that. In a functional resume, you list the functions that you're good at that are applicable and going to be needed in your new profession. And then at the end of the resume, you list all of your companies one after the other, your employers, and then your education. So now let's get into the functions that you have that you think would be applicable to a data analyst in a different profession.
Okay. research, obviously gathering data,
Yes.
researching. I don't know the technical word for it, but basically like combing through multiple documents and packages or cases and just picking out what would be useful to the attorney, which is, I guess, still research.
Now, are you saying you like research, you know how to research, but in political analysis and research, you would need to know the new sources that you would have to research?
That's true.
Because as a paralegal, I'm assuming you know where to go to find the cases in whatever state or court level of court.
Yeah.
So do you know the resources that you would use as a political analyst?
I would think so, yes, but that's not something I looked into.
Okay. I want you to make a list of the questions you need to ask in the informational gathering interview.
Yeah.
We've already talked about process, research process. Another one is the sources that you will need to do that. And where I'm going with this, if you are interviewing with me, I'm interviewing you to be my data analyst, you would say, I am very aware of the sources that I would need to do research for you in political settings. So you've learned that, you know that makes you look very qualified, not just a paralegal. And now we're getting into packaging.
Yeah.
Packaging.
I didn't think about that the way, I guess, maybe more traditional when it comes to how to get a job. Maybe that's just how my parents are and how I've kind of seen it. I've honestly never heard of an informational interview. Not many people talk about that. They don't teach it to you, if that makes sense.
That is exactly right. Well, looking for a job, conducting a career search is a science today.
Yeah.
And we're going to have podcasts that will talk about interviewing, the science of interviewing, the science of networking, the science of negotiating a job offer. There are 5 areas of looking for a job.
Yeah.
But the most important skill set we teach in training someone to conduct a career search is interviewing, and a part of that is packaging.
Yeah.
All right, now tell me another area that you feel uncomfortable or insecure about of trying to get a job as a data analyst.
I don't know if I thought you were going to ask what I'm good at, so I had that.
Let's ask that. That's
I have
better.
Being detail oriented. It's mostly not about the process, just you as a person. More being like detail oriented. You can stay focused for a very long time. You're really good, which is common, but good with a computer, being able to navigate everything, to be able to use all the resources that are available to you to package it nicely. The only thing I would say that I wouldn't feel comfortable is if that specific company, or like usually if you work in an accounting firm, they usually use some type of system no matter which one you go to. So I'm wondering if going into this career is that if they use a system that would take me a decent amount of time to learn. I don't know if that's something you can Google.
Well, in the informational gathering interview, I would ask somebody who's been in that profession for 10, 15, whatever years, what are the most common systems that are used to do the research and data analyst in a political setting?
Yeah.
And there can't be 20 of them. There's got to be probably the most 2 or 3 common.
Yeah.
And if you're really serious, I think you are, but I should say since you're really serious, then you need to start learning those systems.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to be a master at it, but you've got to be able to say, you will ask which system do you use for your researchers to accomplish whatever they need to accomplish in research, and you can say, yes, I am familiar with that system.
Okay.
And then you go home that night and start learning it like crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're good at systems.
Yeah.
You've used a lot of systems. Yeah. You're friendly, computer friendly. Software friendly, and it's not going to take you long to be adept at that. So then you can do some learning real quickly on that system. Again, knowledge is power.
Yeah. Now, I might be switching.
Sure.
It's a question that came in my head. With what's going on now, I decided that I wanted to explore this new career before the pandemic started. But unfortunately, like if I go home and I research companies and, I call and they are not willing to meet with me because they have more important things going on, how do I get the information that I need to make my decision, whether I should go to school or not, with what's going on? What is the best way? Just to call a million companies that I find and see if they're willing to give me some information, even if it's over the phone? Or what else is there?
Well, I recommend that you use the common networking process.
Okay.
You call up your contacts who you know and say, do you know anybody in this profession? And if you call 10 or 15 people, somebody is going to know somebody who in this profession.
Yeah.
And then you are referred by a common friend. Your friend is referring you to their friend. So you will call up and say, John Doe, Jane Doe has referred me to you, and here is my career goal. I'm trying to change professions into a researcher in XYZ. And do you mind me asking you a few questions on this? Because I need some more information to make sure that I want to go in this profession. Most people are willing to do that.
Okay.
They're willing to help people. And you need to establish that I have a degree in political science that will make you very well suited to do political research. And then you tell them you've been a paralegal doing XYZ research for the last 2 or 3 years. That lets them know that you are at least not a rookie at this.
Okay.
And then you start asking them the questions. Going through your friends to get 2 other people in that profession is better than cold calling.
Yes.
Because if you call up and say, we haven't met, my name is Tori, and I'm wanting to do this, you may get a cold shoulder. But there is a safety valve here.
Yeah.
If you call me up and say, John Doe has referred me to you, I know John Doe, I don't want you to go to John Doe and say he really was a very rude, non-helping person.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be nice to you up front, and then you're going to try to win me over with the questions. So when you are networking, you're using common friends' names, and that buys you some niceness.
I didn't think about that. Because, I feel like pretty much a lot of people who've gone to school, even if you didn't complete college, but you still have met people or your professors or people who are just hanging around campus that you can kind of use to network. So I didn't think about that.
85% of jobs are still found through networking today. And I believe in registering with executive search firms or employment agencies, whatever level you are in your profession. But don't depend on them to find you a job. You've got to remember that the recruiting company works for the company that they're recruiting for because they're paying the fee. They are been hired to find people for them. They don't work for the applicant.
Yeah.
If you're qualified, they will love you. They will want to present you because they'll make a fee off you.
Yeah.
They're selling product, and that product are good qualified applicants. So you, in a career search, register with 2 or 3 of the leading employment agencies in whatever career you're going into, but you got to network. And so I think this is a great time for you to start networking and do informational gathering networks to find out what knowledge you know and what knowledge you don't know.
Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of excited now.
Good.
To be able, because I felt really like, I've kind of been thinking about this for like 4 months now. And I've been on interviews to get multiple different jobs with multiple different companies. And, I have a confidence to go in there and like sell myself. But when you like want to do a career change and you want to make sure that you are the most prepared candidate, you want to make sure that you have all your bases covered. That's where I kind of got lost, because when you think about that process and not just, well, I'll see what's online and apply and see if they call me, it's a lot more detailed when you're doing a career change that you really, really want to do. And I don't want to screw it up or mess it up because I want to make sure I don't want to have to do this again. So
exactly. You don't want to make a career mistake.
Yeah.
You have brought up another very, very important topic in a career search. If someone comes to me and they're not confident, they're not selling themselves as if they're qualified to do the job, I am not going to hire them.
Yeah.
So you've got to do everything you can now while there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah.
It is slower. Most people are working from home. They're more receptive, and they're actually in a helping mood now. The U.S., I'm very proud of our country and our citizens for helping as much as they are. Well, let's take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And you call them up and you ask them to find out what you need to know, where you're the weakest as a candidate, correct that, and you will go into the interview being much more confident. And if you don't go in with confidence, I'm not going to be interested in you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a nerve-wracking experience going into something where you don't feel prepared. So, because I've been there before, so I want to make sure that I am prepared, whether that means I need to go to school or I can start a job and then think about school after.
And that's one of the questions you would ask in an interview gathering, in an informational gathering interview, is how important is a master's in this area? I have a feeling, and you call me up and tell me if I'm wrong, I think they're going to tell you that you're qualified. I think you are more qualified for this new career path than you're giving yourself credit for. And I'm trying to give you some confidence here, but I'm sincere in saying this.
Yeah.
And then when you get in there, you can decide and see how many people have masters.
Yeah.
In the area you want to get a master's in, and you can always become more prepared. But let's think about this. You've done research. You're smart. You know how to find the sources. You can learn a software package because you've learned. How many resources do you use, software packages do you use in your current position?
3?
3?
Yeah.
If you've learned 3 of them, you can learn 2 more because they're not that much different.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true.
You've got to believe in yourself. And we have to beat people up at Mulling Corporation when we're teaching them interview skills. If you don't have the confidence and you don't brag on yourself in that interview, nobody's going to brag for you. So you need to know where your strengths are.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an assignment.
Okay.
I want you to put down all the pro and con.
Okay.
You do the T exercise, pro and con. I want you to, the pros will be where you are qualified. What are your current skill sets that you have to sell yourself to do this new career path? And then the cons are where are you lacking? I may not know the software packages. I don't have the exact experience, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the pro and con exercise is not a 5-minute exercise.
Okay.
You need to spend some time on this, put it down on paper, look at it the next day, take away, add to it, and try to do some more. And what I'm trying to get you to, you have all this stuff rattling around in your brain about what I don't know, what I do know. Put this down on paper, and then you will be able to look at it and analyze it much better.
Yeah.
And you'll feel better about it.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Yeah. I'm just the type of person that when you put it down on paper and you see it that way and it's all organized rather than in your head, it does make sense. So, yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to do.
Okay. I want to bring up another topic.
Okay.
When we're teaching interview skills, we call them the liability questions.
Okay.
A fool does not know her liabilities. I've already said that. And it's not your developmental needs. It can be the guy who has 3.5 years of college. Why didn't you finish college? Or it can be the young lady who has had 3 jobs in 4 years. Why have you had so many jobs? You need to list your liability questions. Knowledge is power. and then you can call me up and I'll be glad to help you come up with answers to your liability questions. Now, there is a hidden agenda here.
Okay.
You do not know what someone is going to ask you in an interview.
Yeah.
But you know the tough stuff. You've prepared and memorized the answers. I say memorize. You've learned the answers. And in your liability questions, that gives you a lot more confidence to go into the interview and knowing that they can ask you the tough stuff.
Yeah.
You have prepared. So write down your pros and cons, take your cons and turn them into questions. And that, talking about going in and being confident,
Yeah.
your confidence level will go up 200%.
Yeah. I've been there. I've done that with an interview where I was like, no, I'll be fine. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to research anything. And I go in and I was asked all these questions. And I was like, at one point I was like, I don't know. I don't know the answer. And for some reason I was still hired, but I don't know if it was being honest, but I was like, I don't know that answer. I'm sorry. And it was a phone interview, which kind of makes it a little bit more intimidating because you can't see the person's reaction.
Right.
But for some reason, they were still sure. Well, thank you.
If you do not know an answer, say you don't know because to try to fake the answer, it is real obvious to the interviewer that you're trying to weasel out of it.
Sounds worse.
You're trying. It does. It is 10 times worse. I'll never forget. I was being interviewed with a Fortune 30 company, and I was hired. It was for a senior level HR position, and the guy was a tough interviewer. He was very accomplished. He was much more experienced than I was at the time, probably 25, 30 more years. And he asked me a technical question. The 3 areas of, I've forgotten now what it is. I knew 2 of them. I did not know the third. And I said, I know 2 of them. I don't know the third. And he said, okay. And I got hired. If somebody doesn't want to hire you because you don't know every technical answer to every technical question they ask you, I'm not so sure you want to go to work for them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yeah, logically. Yeah. You mentioned something which kind of, you said some people just want to go to the school because they're trying to.
They're professional students.
But you said that they're trying to avoid actually looking for the job.
Yes.
And I think part of me was doing that. I was just assuming because, when I grew up or when I was in high school, they say, go get a degree, then you'll get a job after. That's the process you're supposed to do. You don't have to no one really talked about networking. So for me, I just assumed that if you want to do a career change, you automatically have to go get a master's degree.
That is not true.
Yeah.
See, I was not meant to be a professional student. I had to struggle some in college to get through. Mm-hmm. I was not magna cum laude. I was not summa cum laude, and I'm proud of it. But I had to study hard. But there are people that school was very easy. Yeah. They made all A's, and you enjoy doing what you're good at. Mm-hmm. Well, like I have said, working is a lot easier than looking for work. Yeah. And I mean, conducting a career search is intimidating. Mm-hmm. It's harder work, and a lot of people don't want to do that. Yeah. There is an opportunity for rejection every step of the way when you're looking for a job. You send out an email or make a phone call to go network with somebody. They may not see you. You go network. And there are 2 or 3 things, we'll have a podcast on this, that you definitely want to get out of a network interview. And one is names of other people. They may not give you any names. And then when you go on the job interview, you may not be hired. So every step of those 3 main areas of a job search, there's a possibility of rejection. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people who are very good salespeople, and they're turned down. We've all been turned down when we're selling stuff, but when you personally are turned down, it gets much more sensitive, much quicker. And you got to keep your morale up and positive. You don't want to hire an angry. You don't want to hire depressed. You don't want to hire a less than confident person. So they're tricks to build up your confidence and your resilience. When you're rejected, just remember that the description of a job search or any kind of sales program is no, 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 yes. Just takes one yes. Get all the knowledge you can, to have your self-confidence, and then know where your liabilities are, where you're lacking, and absolutely go learn that. Now, you've got an advantage. You said school, you liked school, you were smart in school, you probably made very good grades. Well, you will enjoy the learning process.
Yeah. And that's one thing I wish I would have, I have the knowledge now, but I didn't think about that, is that I felt I don't like looking for new jobs. I don't like change, so that goes into that. But when looking for a job, especially when you're younger, you always have in the back of your head that they're going to say no. No matter what I say, they're going to say no because you look younger, or your resume might not be as long as the next person that is interviewing after you. So that is something that I feel, for me personally, if I go home and actually do research everything and write it all down and keep it, the liabilities, your elevator speech, the anything that I'd feel that I might not know compared to what I do know, that no matter if you get a no, whether it's in the networking or informational interview or even a real interview, you kind of still feel confident because you have all your bases covered.
Okay, you just said something very important. Tune in next time and we will finish the interview, and I promise you, you will learn how to change careers. Thank you for joining us on our channel today.